sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Our greatest night is Laylatul Qadr. So if you look at that statement, what is Laylatul Qadr to us? Laylatul Qadr is greater than 1,000 months. Khayrun min alfi shahr. But for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Isra is more valuable. So this indicates what a great honor and gift was given to our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What was the context? Why was he given this glorious gift sallallahu alaihi wasallam? It was the 10th year of prophethood, and 3 traumatic events took place in that year. The first is his beloved wife Khadija radiyallahu anha passed away. So Khadija radiyallahu anha was the bedrock, the support of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She was the mother of all his children: Zainab, Ruqayya, Kulthum, Fatima, Qasim, Abdullah, Tahir, Tayyib. Some say that they are one. But all the children, she was the mother of the children of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She supported the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam with all her wealth. She was the richest woman in Makkah. But when she passed away, she didn't even have a shroud in which to cover her body. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had to borrow a shroud for his beloved wife radiyallahu anha. She passed away after the year of the boycott, the 3-year intense boycott in which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his family and companions radiyallahu ta'ala anhu were forced to live at basically, they couldn't eat, they couldn't do business, they couldn't do transactions. They had to literally eat leaves to survive, some of them. At the end of that 3-year ordeal, over 1,000 days, Khadija passed away radiyallahu anha. This was the first blow to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The second blow occurred just a few days later. Abu Talib, his beloved uncle, also passed away. Abu Talib was the one who brought him up like a second father. At the age of 8, he looked after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. At the age of 50, at the age of 40, at the age of 50, Abu Talib passed away. So for 42 years, he looked after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the majority view of the scholars is he tragically passed away without Iman. This was the second blow to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then the third blow in the same year, on the 10th, he went to Taif to canvass support for the cause sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He went with one of his companions, Zayd ibn al-Haritha radiyallahu anhu. And then famously, they rejected the call. And then, when he was going back to Makkah, the urchins were made to throw stones at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he bled so much that his blessed sandals were clogged with blood sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So then, the beautiful hadith mentions that when he left Taif, he was so weak from being struck, he fell into an orchard which belonged to one of the Quraysh. And one of the Quraysh saw him in the orchard and he felt pity for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because after all he was in prison. And there the Prophet said a beautiful dua sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he basically showed his weakness. He showed his weakness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He goes, "Oh my Lord, as long as you're happy," he goes, "all this does not mean anything to me. But have you left me to be overpowered by my enemies?" And then Allah Ta'ala was so moved by that, he sent an angel. And the angel of the mountains came with Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam. And the angel of the mountain said, "O Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, I'm at your command. If you give me permission, I will crush the city of Taif between the 2 mountains." The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "No." He goes, "If they haven't embraced Islam, maybe their children will." So he still refused to destroy them. When he was in the orchard, one of the Quraysh sent his slave called Addas. He was a Christian. He said, "Go and give him some grapes. Hand some grapes over to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam." So Addas radiyallahu anhu went. He gave some grapes to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Prophet said Bismillah, and he started to eat. So Addas, he said, "How do you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?" So the Prophet looked at him sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he asked him, "Where are you from?" So Addas radiyallahu anhu said, "I'm from Nineveh." The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, or the city of my brother, Yunus, alayhi salatu wasalam. So Adas is shocked even more. He goes, how do you know about Yunus? And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he is a prophet, just like I am a prophet. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that was enough for Adas radiyallahu. He embraced Islam and he kissed the hands and feet of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the unbelieving Quraysh saw this, they goes, how quickly does he change people? He's a magician. So they said to Adas, don't leave the religion of your fathers. And Adas says he is a prophet. He knows about the prophets. So look how interesting. Adas embraced Islam. Then on the same journey, he was praying under the tree during the night. And the jinn came. And the jinn were listening to the Prophet ﷺ recite the Quran. And they said, as quoted in the Quran in Surah Ahqaf, we have heard a wonderful recital. They embraced Islam. So the Prophet ﷺ was intending Taif, but Allah Ta'ala wanted Adas and the jinn to embrace Islam. Then he came back to Makkah under protection. He couldn't even enter the birthplace without protection because he had no protection. At that low moment in his holy life, he lost Khadija radiyallahu. He lost his uncle. He was stoned at Taif. He's now even having to resort to protection in his own mother city. Allah Ta'ala called him, as if to help, to lift him. Now how did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala call him? He sent Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam with the Burak. The Burak is an animal which resembles between a horse and a mule. And it has wings. And in the stroke of one wing, it can go from the distance to the horizon. Jibreel came alayhi salatu wasalam, and the Prophet was in Makkah. There's two narrations. One is he was next to the Kaaba. The other is he was in Hani, his cousin's dwelling, radiyallahu. And then they came, and then he goes, Ya Rasulullah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, your Lord is inviting you, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam approached the Burak. And then the hadith mentions in Tirmidhi and Mishkat, the Burak started to shake. And then Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam said, Oh Burak, why are you shaking? Nobody more honorable has sat upon you. Now this shows that the Prophet was the Sayyid of the sons of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. The Burak understood his status. The Holy Prophet then sat upon the Burak sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and Jibreel grabbed the stirrup. And then the report says, they then respectfully made their way to Jerusalem, i.e. Masjid al-Aqsa. But before they came to Masjid al-Aqsa, Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam had a few stops. The hadith in Nasa'i, authentic, mentions that Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam told the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, please alight here first. So they alighted, and then the Prophet was told to offer a 2 rakat prayer. So he offered a 2 rakat prayer. Then the Prophet ﷺ asked, Ya Jibreel, why have you told me to descend here? And why have you asked me to pray here? Jibreel ﷺ said, this is the birthplace of Isa ibn Maryam. You are in Bethlehem. So, stopping the report, Allah the Almighty wanted to honor Jesus Christ by letting His beloved pray a 2 rakat prayer. And this is why the Muslims now go to Bethlehem to offer a 2 rakat prayer. It's a sunnah. Then he alighted again, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then the second stop, in Imam Ahmad's Musnad, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was told by Jibreel alayhi salatu wa sallam, descend here. He descended, he was told to offer a 2 rakat prayer. And then he asked, he goes, Ya Jibreel alayhi salatu wa sallam, why did you ask me to descend here? And Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam said, this is Turi Sinin. This is the place where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. So to honor Jabal al-Tur, what Tur the Quran says, what Turi Sinin the Quran says, to offer 2 rakats there is also a sunnah. Then other reports mention other places. Eventually the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came to Masjid al-Aqsa, where we are now by the grace and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam pointed to the Burak wall. It's called the Wailing Wall by the non-Muslims, but it's the Burak wall. And Jibreel pointed to the wall. And then the report says a hole was made in the wall. Now what's interesting, Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam is made of light. Laser cuts holes in rock. So when he pointed, this shows that this is the angelic laser, and he made a hole, and the hole is still there. You'll notice in the wall. And then the Barak was tight. Then the Prophet ﷺ entered Masjid Aqsa, and all of the holy prophets were waiting for him. Allahu Akbar, imagine. What a grand audience. All of the Anbiya ﷺ, whether they had tasted death or not, were waiting. And the Prophet ﷺ, after greeting them, he said to Jibreel ﷺ, why have we gathered? Jibreel ﷺ said, to pray. Now what's interesting, Salat had not become fard at that time. This is before the Salat was fard. So Jibreel ﷺ said to the Prophet ﷺ, it's time for Salat, Ya Rasulullah. The Prophet ﷺ said, who is going to lead the prayer? Look at his humility. Who is going to lead the prayer? And Jibreel ﷺ said, Ya Rasulullah, you step forward. So the Prophet ﷺ, he leads the prayer behind the immaculate ones, i.e. 123,999 were the Prophets ﷺ. And if you look at the compound of Masjid Aqsa, it can easily accommodate that number. Think about that. So you shouldn't find it strange. The prayer was offered, the immaculate prayer. Then the Prophet ﷺ turns, and a person looks and gives him salam. So the Prophet looks in Imam Ahmad's Muslim, and he asks Jibreel, who's this? And the Prophet ﷺ was told by Jibreel, because oh, that's Malik, the keeper of the hellfire. He's come to give you salam. So then the Prophet looks and he's not smiling. He goes, why isn't he smiling? Because he's never smiled since the creation of hell. So two things. Even the angels were coming to give salam to the Prophet ﷺ. Allah Ta'ala was telling the guardians of hell, go and give salam to my beloved. Jibreel gives salam, Mikael gives salam, in one report, alayhi salatu wasalam. Then the Prophet ﷺ, he comes to this very spot where we're sitting now, by the grace and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the Prophet ﷺ is told, now we are going to ascend. The Miraj is now going to begin. And the reports vary. One report says there's a ladder. Another report says that there was a kind of a nest, but it was respectfully taken up. But the Barak was now not being used. The Barak was only used for the Isra. Then when he's ascending, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he gets to the first heaven. And then permission is asked. Because who is this? And Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam says, it is Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And the report says, welcome, welcome to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The Prophet enters, and who does he see? He sees Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. And Adam alayhi salatu greets his son. He goes, welcome to my beautiful son, welcome to my noble son. And then the Prophet is looking, and he sees Adam looking to his right, and he's smiling. He sees him looking to the left, and he's weeping. So he asks Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam, he goes, why is my father doing this? He goes, O Messenger of Allah, to the right are those who will die with Iman amongst his children, and it pleases him. But those of his children who die without Iman causes him grief on the left. Then the Prophet ﷺ, after paying his respects to his father, he then ascends with Jibreel to the second heaven. Alayhi salatu wasalam. Again the same permission is given to enter. He enters, and this time he meets Yusuf. Alayhi salatu wasalam. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, he was given half of all beauty, because he was like the sun in terms of beauty, the great Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, whose maqam we visited today, alayhi salatu wasalam, by the grace and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he pays his respects to Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, and the scholars point out, why did he meet Yusuf in the second heaven, alayhi salatu wasalam? And the reason was because the Prophet is going through his life. Why? Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, he was a youth, and who wanted to kill him? Who eventually exiled his family. The same thing was happening to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. His family wanted to kill him, but they eventually forced him to exile. So every prophet he was meeting, there was a meaning in why he was meeting these prophets alayhi salatu wasalam. Then he goes to the third heaven. Permission is given, he enters, and he meets Yahya and Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, cousins. He pays their respects, they pay their respects, and then reports vary. One report says that the Prophet asked Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, do you have any knowledge of the hour? And Isa alayhi salatu wasalam said in Ibn Majah, yes. When I descend again, the day of judgment is so close, just like a pregnant woman is expecting any moment. So Isa alayhi salatu wasalam told him, I'm coming. When I come, Qiyamah is imminent. And then he ascends, and to make the narrative short, he meets other prophets. He meets Harun alayhi salatu wasalam in the fourth. In the fifth, he meets either Idris or Musa, depending on various reports. When he meets Idris, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned about him, we have raised him to an elevated station. The Holy Prophet, Idris alayhi salatu wasalam. And then he goes into the seventh heaven. And then there's the Baytul Ma'amur. This is the Kaaba of the angelic realm. And who does he see with his back on the Kaaba? Ibrahim, his father, alayhi salatu wasalam. And then Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, the Sahaba asked, Ya Rasulullah, who did he look like? And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said in Sahih Muslim, he looked like your companion. He looked like me, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam gave me salam. And he says, give my salam to your ummah. So when we go to his blessed maqam, we return the salam. And by the grace and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we did that today. We return the salam to the beloved Khalil Abu Rahman alayhi salatu wasalam. And he said, paradise is a barren plain. Fill it with Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, Wallahu Akbar. And then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam is now reached Sidratul Muntaha, the point where nobody else can go past it. When he gets to Sidratul Muntaha, Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam then says, wa as-salam, because I cannot now continue with you, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, why not Jibreel? He goes, I cannot pass, because if I pass any further, my wings will burn, because this is only for you. So literally, this is the point where everything terminates, creation stops. Only one was allowed to pass that point, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So now he's anxious, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, because he hasn't got Jibreel with him alayhi salatu wasalam. He's ascending. How he ascends, Allah Ta'ala knows best. But then as he's ascending, he hears Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq's voice. It's coming from somewhere, radiyallahu. And the Prophet calms sallallahu alayhi wasallam because he was his dear friend. And then Allahu Akbar, now was the time for the divine communication. Allah the Almighty and Glorious is now going to converse. The Prophet ﷺ said, At-tahiyyatu lillahi was-salawatu wat-tayyibat. All prayer and worship and goodness is for you, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala replies, As-salamu alayka ayyuhan nabiyyu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you, O Prophet, and the mercy of Allah and His blessings. The Prophet responds, As-salamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin. Peace be upon us and on the righteous servants of Allah. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. This is the tahiyyat we recite. In the last, it was so beloved, this conversation, Allah Ta'ala put it into salat. Every sitting we say this. التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. And then Allah the Almighty and Glorious, He tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, He goes, come close. And then the Prophet was asked, was there a veil between you, or did you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And the Prophet ﷺ said, there was a veil. Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu said, he saw Allah the Almighty with his eyes. Right? And his ikhtilaf amongst the Sahaba. But Ibn Abbas said, he saw him with his eyes. And then Allah the Almighty and Glorious, He says, come. And the Prophet is about to take his sandals off. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, oh my beloved, this is not for you.
That was for Musa. Because when he got to the valley of Quwa, Allah Ta'ala said in the Quran, take off your sandals, you're on holy ground. He goes, but you, he goes, you come with your sandals. And then when he comes close, Allah the Almighty and Glorious gives him the glorious gifts. He says, I have gifted to your ummah 50 prayers. They must offer 50 prayers a day. And the Prophet takes it. The second gift given to him. He says, whoever of your ummah does not commit shirk, I promise I will forgive him. And the third gift in Sahih Muslim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the last verses of Surah Baqarah, i.e. the treasures of under the Arsh. The Prophet ﷺ then descends. He goes to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam in the sixth. And Musa alayhi salatu wasalam asks, what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say to you? And Musa, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, he's giving me 50 prayers. And then the famous going backwards and forwards starts taking place. He goes, go back. He goes, 50 prayers. He goes, your ummah can't handle 50 prayers. The Prophet ascends. He goes backwards and forwards. It gets down to 5. Musa alayhi salatu wasalam says, your ummah can't do 5 prayers. The Prophet ﷺ said, I can't return. I'm embarrassed. Then a voice is heard from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He goes, I promise 50 prayers for your ummah. They will receive 50 prayers for the 5 prayers. So when you offer one prayer, you get the reward of 10. 10 fajrs, 10 zuhrs, 10 asrs, 10 maghribs, 10 isha. This is the kindness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the Prophet ﷺ takes on a tour. And he sees paradise and hell. Jibreel takes him to paradise, he takes him to hell, and he sees wondrous signs. And after seeing this, the Prophet ﷺ's complexion changes because he sees the ultimate abodes. Then he descends, and the report mentions when he descends respectfully, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his bedding is still warm. And then the next day, the Prophet mentions what he had witnessed. Abu Jahl hears this. And he couldn't believe it. He goes, what did he say? He goes, then he starts, who is the first person he goes to? Abu Bakr Siddiq. He goes, if we get Abu Bakr to negate, they'll all abandon him. When he goes to Abu Bakr Siddiq, he goes, you know what your friend happened last night to your friend? This is in Hakim, Sahih Hadith. And Abu Bakr says, what happened to my friend? And then Abu Jahl, just like a kafir describes the Isra and the Miraj. He mocked it. He goes, he went on a winged horse and he went into the heavens and this, that, mocking it. And then the Prophet, he said, your Prophet. So then Abu Bakr Siddiq said, did the Prophet say this? He goes, yes. Abu Bakr Siddiq said, if the Prophet said it, I believe it. But I don't believe you. Imam Hakim rahmatullah alayhi says in his Mustadrak, Abu Bakr Siddiq was the first to authenticate hadith. He goes, I don't believe you because you're not trustworthy. But if the Prophet said it, and then the Prophet heard this, he goes, he is Siddiq. He is Abu Bakr, the truthful, verified. So no great honor was given to Abu Bakr Siddiq on the Mihraj. And on this night, that glorious journey took place. It was to strengthen the Prophet ﷺ. And in the month of Rajab, Allah Ta'ala honored him with this glorious visit. So we are here, and this is why the Prophet ﷺ would say, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bless us in our months of Rajab and Sha'ban, and convey us safely to the holy month of Ramadan. Ameen. And we pray to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He forgives us for the sake of His beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and also to give us the tawfiq to come again and again in the most glorious of both. Subhanallah bihamdihi, subhanallah.